Just like having the right information is necessary to make solid hiring and lending decisions, being engaged in our community is important. DataFax is proud to support the positives and be a presenting sponsor of the Spark.
State Systems is focused on protecting life and property. As a local, privately owned company, our foundation was built on providing all businesses with complete fire and security protection and infrastructure cabling. State Systems is proud to be a part of the Mid-South community and a presenting sponsor of the Spark.
Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance has been serving the Mid-South since 1954. We've always focused on supporting our community and believed in promoting the positives, encouraging engagement, and leading by example. Lipscomb & Pitts is proud to be a presenting sponsor of the Spark.
Additional funding provided by Christian Brothers University and Baptist Memorial Healthcare. Get better with Baptist.
This month on The Spark, our theme is athletics. We'll learn more about a local intercollegiate athletics program that has served as a focal point of civic pride for over 100 years, boasting 377 student athletes competing in 17 sports. A nonprofit working in under-resourced neighborhoods that uses sports to develop youth into spiritually strong, productive adults, and a former college and NBA player focused on mentoring and education. Have you ever been excited by a new idea, inspired by watching someone lead by example? When we talk about creating change, we start by sharing the stories of everyday heroes who are making a difference in their own way, so we can learn and do the same. This truth is the power behind this show, which is focused on business and community leaders that are leading by example to give back, fuel change, and create new opportunities for the Mid-South. I'm Jeremy Park, and this is The Spark. Their intercollegiate athletics program has been a source of civic pride for over 100 years. I'm here with the University of Memphis Athletics Athletic Director, Tom Bowen. And when I say University of Memphis Athletics, it's not just football, basketball, baseball, soccer. There's a lot to it. So how do you describe University of Memphis Athletics?
Well, Jeremy, first of all, thank you for having me on today. I would say we describe it as 17 Division I FBS, BCS programs. We compete in the American Athletic Conference, and I have 377 student athletes, men and women, that every day get up and compete and wear the colors and fight for the University of Memphis.
Nice. And it's economic development is because obviously you're selling a lot of tickets, you're promoting the brand, but you're also you're championing Memphis all around the world, and you're also creating a future workforce. Talk about it from the perspective of workforce development with these young leaders.
I really believe that the young men and women that compete as a Division I student athlete at the University of Memphis, when they graduate, become a very attractive opportunity to be hired by a company because of their skill sets in leadership, accountability, teamwork, dedication, effort, high pressure situations. So I believe since only about 1% of my student athletes will turn into professional ranks, it gives the opportunity for the local employers and local business to really embrace some really highly talented people.
And I think that's one of the neat things is sports in general teaches collaboration, teamwork, having a common goal and reaching higher, selflessness in a way, respect. There's so many of those intangible skill sets that are perfect rollovers into the corporate environment, but also these are high achievers. They're achieving high grades too. That's
correct. Our student athletes are some of the best students. Our graduation rate's 88%. I have 167 of my student athletes were above a 3.0, nice. And 62 of them were above a 3.5, and 30 of my student athletes are a perfect 4.0. So it's a very complementary dynamic to the athlete part of the student.
And the other thing that I love is that you're infusing community service in. So they're not just graduating, they're graduating engaged in the community, and obviously that's helping with our retention rates too. Share a little about that philosophy.
Well, when we got here, we made it a requirement that our student athletes would do community service in some form or fashion, and they've embraced it. They all have participated in it in some different program that we're involved in the city of Memphis, and it's been phenomenal. So it's been a real outreach that's had a profound effect in the community.
Nice. And the neat thing too is just knowing you is you've taken a very innovative approach. When you look at taking the money and kind of putting it out across the whole program, you're doing some really neat things, especially with regards to facilities and training equipment. And share with us a little bit what's going on behind the scenes.
So when I first came and arrived last September, I was fortunate enough to get a foundation grant from the J.B. and Helen Hardin Foundation for the implementation of a brand new track, new soccer fields for men's and women's soccer, updating the softball facility and the softball complex, and new electronic targets for my men's and women's rifle team.
Nice.
So those are really key components as now we move forward in the second phase of the capital campaign.
And the neat thing is obviously better facilities does translate into more success too. Talk about from the rivalry perspective.
Well, yeah, our rifle team was really struggling with paper targets. We put them in electronic targets now, and they've climbed all the way. They were 6th in the country the other day in the weekly poll. So
nice.
Things are looking up.
Well, let's give viewers a little bit of perspective. We talk about improving facilities and what's going on behind the scenes at the University of Memphis and the athletics department. Let's take a quick look.
There's a lot that goes into building a competitive athletic program, and you know, coaches are very, very key and integral to what we do. Recruiting is very critical, but having the facilities that allow you to compete with other schools is as important as anything. We were able to tear out the existing track and field facility, and we were able to rebuild that completely new surface, new shape, new configuration. We put a regulation soccer field with natural grass in the center of it. You know, the biggest thing with the rifle range is the installation of electronic targets. And once that project's completed, that's going to allow them a chance to practice with targets a great deal more than they currently do with the targets that they have. So the electronic targets is kind of a newer technology for college athletic programs, and it's one that's going to give them just a tremendous advantage in the practice setting over other rifle programs.
So that gives us some perspective on what's going on behind the scenes, especially with infrastructure. That ties back to some of the innovative things you're doing, like combining football and basketball tickets. And you're doing a lot of things that are very different. You're pushing that needle, which I love. What are some of the other things going on that are innovative?
Well, we did the recent graduate, the alumni that graduated in May, obviously got 2 football season tickets this year.
Nice.
And that'll happen those that graduate in December and so forth. And that'll be an ongoing every year. When you graduate from the University of Memphis, you'll get your season tickets for 1 year. And then our hope is that you'll want to continue and buy your tickets next year. We've done a lot of innovative things in what we're doing with seating. We're looking at an app program that will probably launch soon where you can upgrade your seating at FedEx Forum at the game. You get in the game and you want to see what other seats are available for an upgrade that weren't sold that day or happen to be vacant. You can pull this app up, see it, pay it, and upgrade your seat.
Nice.
So
making it easy, I love it.
Yeah. Just some really neat things that are fan friendly. Our whole point is to have a great fan experience.
Absolutely.
So you keep coming back and enjoying the Tigers.
And tie that back to $45 million capital campaign that I know is a much needed,
right.
to be able to, it's much needed, I mean, all the way across the board. So share with us about the $45 million capital campaign.
It was part of the strategic plan. It was written as a assessment was done on the facilities. It's all capital facilities. We've already raised 5 of it towards, with the help of the Hardin Foundation and other supporters, for the new track and field, the new soccer field, the new softball facilities, the new targets for the rifle team, the upgrades in Elmer Road Fieldhouse for the women's basketball program. Remaining now is the $40 million, which is tied to an indoor football facility, which is absolutely necessary for a football program in the Mid-South. Right now, when there's a lightning warnings or the weather gets inclement, my team has to leave the field per NCAA bylaw rules about safety. So my football student athletes will miss out on practice time if the weather turns inclement.
Gotcha.
So the football indoor facility is absolutely critical right now to create a competitive football. The new basketball practice facility is also another necessary item for us to continue to be one of the top 10 basketball programs in the country and to stay ahead of and in the same game with all the other teams in which we compete with and recruit against. The FedEx Forum is a great arena to compete in. Our practice facility needs to continue to be upgraded as well.
Right, makes sense. So tie that back to the vision. When you look at over the next 12 months, 3 years, 5 years, how does that tie into the overall vision of what you're trying to create?
Well, the overall vision, first of all, is a unified vision. So it's not a vision of Tom Bowen deciding what Tom Bowen thinks. This is not a dictatorship. This is more of a democracy, which I have the last vote. But it's a vision that's tied to creating a culture of champions, and getting focused on all the details necessary to make that happen. Every day, 12 months a year, so that in and out of competition, in season, out of season, we're focused on making sure all the details are done right.
Just like in sports, it's all about the fundamentals, right?
Correct.
Well, absolutely
exactly
love
right.
everything you guys are doing. It's neat to see the University of Memphis everywhere, especially as a champion for our city. So thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeremy. Honored to be here. Thank you.
With the theme of athletics, this one's easy because it's part of the name, Memphis Athletic Ministries, fondly known as MAM. I'm here with the COO, the Chief Operating Officer, Randy Odom. And when I say MAM, Memphis Athletic Ministries, founded in 1998, give viewers a little bit of the idea of the purpose of the organization.
Well, our purpose is to build godly youth in under-resourced neighborhoods, teaching them to love God, love others, and love self so that they can impact their community and their families.
Nice. And so you have 11 centers that are spread out throughout the primarily the intercity loop, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have 11 centers, primarily in the loop, all in under-resourced neighborhoods and all within walking distances from major schools.
Nice. And so it's ages 8 to 18, and you're putting them through one of the things that you're very well known for is the organized sports. Talk about some of the different sports.
Well, we focus on basketball. Memphis is a basketball city, but it's not the only sport we have. We have flag football, we have soccer, we have a golf course. It's a par 3 9-hole course. We
Nice.
we also do cheerleading, and so we use that sports as a hook for us, as a hook because that's what the kids want to do. It's all about first. The first time I play on a team, the first time I score a basket, the first time that a coach encourages me.
And sports really is, to me, it's a perfect opportunity to teach character, life skills, conflict resolution, teamwork, higher purpose. It goes on and on and on. For you personally, because you played sports, what are some of those life skills that when you look at how MAM and Memphis Athletic Ministries is using sports as this avenue to develop these youth, what are some of those key lessons?
Well, Jeremy, for me personally, a coach was the major impactor in my life growing up in high school and junior high. And so we like to say that sports doesn't build character as much as it reveals character, who that kid really is. So we can put a young man or a young woman on a team and put them in an environment where they learn to struggle, they learn to have a good attitude, they get an opportunity to be a part of something. You know, we also like to say that the impact of a kid is directly proportional to the time you spend with them.
Nice.
So we want our coaches to spend a lot of time loving on and building these kids into adults that can impact Memphis.
And you touched on the positive attitude. I think that is something in sports you learn. You've got to focus. You have to have a positive outlook and confidence to be able to succeed. And I think that's something really important is infusing that positive energy in these kids.
Yes, sir. You know, when I talk to a coach and I ask him, one of our coaches who work with us, and I ask him, hey, how was your game? If they say we won, that's not what I want to hear. I want to hear, man, Johnny had a great game and he played hard and he has a good attitude and we're helping him deal with these issues off the court by coaching him on the court.
Nice. Well, let's go ahead because there's a whole nother spectrum to this which we'll carry after this on the academic side and the tutoring and the mentoring. But let's go ahead and show viewers a little bit of a day in the life at Memphis Athletic Ministries.
The diversity aspect is something that's really awesome, and that's really the DNA of MAM. If you look at the staff at MAM, it's a very diverse staff, and so it's awesome that we're able to minister the gospel here in this community, which is a diverse community. So a typical day here, MAM, basically looks like we work with 3 different schools. And so with that, we'll do 3 rotations into our homework help, and then we'll funnel those kids into our free play. Most of them in this community, they love soccer, so we kind of cater to that.
Parents talk, and they hear about an after-school program that offers homework help and free play and feeds the kids. They are all in, and so the fact that we bring them all together here and their kids are getting along with different races, that just shows them that it's possible. And for maybe the future generations, that we will see everyone working together even better. And it could have just started from a little playtime at an after-school program.
So that gives us some perspective on a day in the life at Memphis Athletic Ministries. And there's so much more, though, than the sports. It's academics, you have computer labs, it's tutoring, mentoring, Bible study. Give us at least a broad perspective for right now, and then we'll dive in a little bit deeper, but give us a broad perspective on the academic side of MAM.
Well, for us, that's a huge component. I grew up in Texas where it was no pass, no play in sports, and we want a child to excel at their academic proudness as well. So every kid comes into our gym, elementary age, and they're going to do homework help with a teacher, with a part-time person that we've employed. And for them to be able to come do their homework, it's gonna make a difference in their school attendance because they've accomplished something.
Right.
And so the homework help, the ACT prep for our high school kids.
Nice.
You know, we've got kids, if you ask them, I want to go to college, they all want to go to college, but when you ask them, have you taken the ACT or have you taken a prep for it, most of them haven't. So we want to walk them through those stages, and we want to show them that, you know, sports is great, but this is an equally important component of your life.
Absolutely. And talk about you have computer labs, you have Bible studies. There's a lot more to it than even just the tutoring.
We have computer labs where the kids can come and they can get online. We teach them how to use those computers. They can also do projects that they have on those computers, because a lot of kids don't have the access to that in their home.
Right.
We do Bible studies, and we connect that to practice. We want to teach discipline, and we want to take kids and show them that, you know, the Bible's relevant to you today. It was written thousands of years ago, but it can help you, you know, in your life and the things you face today. And so we do Bible study. We pay attention to the academics. Well, my coaches also visit the school and check on the kids and see how they're doing in the classroom.
Nice. So give us one success story that stands out to you.
Well, I have a young man. He's from the Greenlaw facility. His name's Detroit Taylor. He grew up in Greenlaw, grew up in that neighborhood. He graduated from high school, and he works with us. I mean, he works part-time with us. He's going to school, and he is a great example of a young person who's in college, who came from this environment, and he can go back into that environment and mentor and coach these kids. He has a great work ethic. He's never late for work. He's yes sir, no sir. He's a phenomenal picture to these young people of what they can be. And it's our philosophy is that they will become what they behold, they will be what they see. So we want to build and make those Detroit Taylors, put them back into the community so those younger kids can see him, and it'll give them hope of what they can reach.
So for those that are watching and they want to plug in to MAM and what's going on there and the lives that you're changing, what's the easy way to do that?
The easy way is to go online to our website. We have a whole volunteer page there, and it'll list all of our volunteer opportunities, and they can put their information in there, and our volunteer coordinator will contact them.
Nice.
We have homework help. We have assistant coaches. We have volunteers that come and just they hang out with kids during the day after school. And so that's the easiest way to become involved. And we also have volunteer opportunities for groups. We have a whole group of young ladies from St. Mary's that they come and do homework help as a group.
Well, there you go. I absolutely am floored with the impact that you're having. I mean, especially 10,000 kids participating in the basketball program. That's huge, and I absolutely love what you're doing. So, Randy, thank you very much.
Well, I'm honored to be here, and thank you very much.
Some know him as Socks, his nickname, but he's a standout player for the University of Memphis basketball team, standout NBA player, part owner with the NBA Memphis Grizzlies here. He had a chance to play for the Grizzlies. He's an education champion. He's a good friend, Elliot Perry. And for starters, give viewers a little bit of your backstory growing up here in Memphis.
Yeah, growing up here in Memphis was fantastic, but I always like to tell the story just to give a little backdrop. I mean, my mom was 15 years old when she had me, and I like to say I grew up in a community that liked to take hold of its kids and just hold them and squeeze them to ultimately they conform to its ways. And had it not been for a mentor who really took interest in me, I don't know where I would be. He was one who always held me to high expectations. He asked me the tough questions: where I was going to college, if I was going to college, what I was doing in the classroom. He exposed me to a lot of things being on Memphis State campus at the time. So Michael Tony gave me a lot of confidence in myself that I could do anything, and that was not just a cliche.
And I think that's the important is the theme today is athletics, but the reality is you have the God-given ability, but so much of that is the wraparound, the support, the mentorship, the guidance, the coaching. So it's all the life skills that kind of play out through the process of sports. What was that like for you in terms of those life lessons, off the court, and instilling those in your life? What were some of those lessons that you learned?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is the off-court lessons are always those things that you remember later. You may not get them now. And I always talk to young people, and I very rarely do I talk about basketball, but I always kind of infuse basketball into life. You know, I always talk about if a 2-year-old child is playing basketball, a 3-year-old child, if they fall down, what's the first thing they do? They get back up. And who tells them? Nobody tells them, because they're chasing the ball. And so that's the way life is. I mean, if you fall down, you get back up. If the door closes in your face, you get back out there. But you still have to have, in my opinion, some backdrop to that. I mean, there's a process that goes with everything, and I think education is that really the foundation of all of that. Whether you're a great basketball player, baseball player, football player, all those things will end.
And that work ethic, the perseverance, all those, you know, being dignified in winning and losing.
Yeah.
But I have to ask though, what's a favorite moment from playing with the University of Memphis?
Well, you know, interesting is, I mean, there were so many great moments, so many friendships we made playing at the Coliseum, and I just remember my time at Memphis State. I mean, a staple, but I think, you know, some of my fondest memories is just the conversations Coach Finch and I would have behind closed doors. He was sort of that father figure. You know, he really held me to high expectations and always pushed me. He didn't let me off the hook. If I was loafing in practice, he would hold me to those high expectations. But more than anything else, he talked about, you know, hard work trumps everything. And, you know, he always wanted you to go out there and do your best and not let where you came from dictate where you're headed.
And it's obvious that, you know, when you take that experience into consideration, mentorship is a huge part of your life, but it's also a huge part of what you're doing here in the Mid-South. And so one of those initiatives is tied to the Memphis Grizzlies, the Team Up program. And before we talk about it, let's go ahead and show viewers a little bit about what's going on with the Memphis Grizzlies Team Up program.
Like a big brother, big sister program where they help kids overcome different obstacles. I know for one, having stress, they teach them what stress is and how to better manage it, money as well. So it's a lot of different things that they'll go with through life. It's a great program because I see a difference in my children. As the kids are learning to deal with everyday life, it's not only just for now, it's for their future and their adult life and what they would carry on even as they mature and continue to grow. So they're giving back to the community. We've cleaned up the community. We've helped in the garden. We've done a lot with the program, and they've enjoyed it. So can't do nothing but love it.
So that gives us the backdrop to go ahead and discuss the Memphis Grizzlies Team Up initiative and program, and a big part of that is being a catch-all to recruit more mentors, get them plugged in with the organizations that support mentoring but are near and dear to their passion and aligning those, and also giving the resources and the back-end support as well. How do you describe Memphis Grizzlies and the Team Up initiative?
Well, I mean, first of all, just to give a little context, we thought, you know, we have a great NBA team here, and how could that NBA team make a tangible impact in our community? It was one thing just to give away resources, but then how could we really make a tangible difference in kids' lives, and so in people's lives? And so we thought about mentoring, and you know, we came up with the Grizzlies Foundation, and there was a part of that was to support a lot of the organizations that we were supporting anyway. But they started mentoring programs and running fantastic mentoring programs, and then we thought we'll never be able to just kind of one-on-one mentor our way through this, because we know there are a lot of kids out there that need positive adults in their life, and so we started a team mentoring, and that was pairing 3 adults with 9 kids, and it's been going fantastic. We're working in 4 schools right now, and so we want to continue that and continue to grow that.
Nice. And for mentoring, it's a game changer, because the reality is the kids get to learn, you know, obviously from the adults, but there's adult interaction peer-to-peer. There's also the interaction between the other youth, and so all the way around, they're all learning and experiencing together, which makes it that much more enriching. Education Champions. Give us a little perspective on Education Champions.
Yeah, Education Champions, you know, I thought about all the positive things that were happening in our community, and really it was about advocacy. And so all of these organizations were out there championing education, and so I wanted to just, you know, give those organizations an opportunity to have a spotlight. You look at Teach for America, Memphis Teacher Residency, look at the New Teacher Project, you look at New Leaders, all those organizations, but also some of the charter school movement that was happening. And so I wanted to make sure that people knew about what was happening in our city, and that, you know, what I was advocating for was parents, so they could have an opportunity to have a choice where to send their kids if their kids were not going to a school that they thought was doing the best for their kid. They had a choice to go to another school.
Because ultimately, you want what's best for the kids.
Oh, no question about it.
And that's the one thing I really appreciate, is the fact that you're putting a huge positive spotlight on the teachers as the front lines, the principals and headmasters that are creating the culture of learning, but also too, you're helping individuals, businesses, organizations that want to get more involved with education. You're creating a roadmap for them to be able to make a difference as well. As we wrap this up, what's one way that you think individuals can get more plugged in with education?
You know, I just think, you know, go to your local school. I mean, it starts right there in your own community. Go to your local school, and if you just volunteer sometimes, I mean, really find out what's happening in your community, because I think all of our voices make a difference.
Absolutely. Well, greatly appreciate everything you've done, not only on the basketball court to be an ambassador for Memphis, but more importantly, out in the community every day, being an advocate for education and for mentorship. So, Elliot, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Yeah.
Even though this month's theme was athletics, it really revolved around the power of using sports for education and personal development. Competing in sports teaches many life skills and lessons that carry over from youth to adulthood. Teamwork, preparation, self-discipline, focus, persistence, respect, performing under pressure, and learning to win and lose with dignity are all skills that help develop character and work ethic. As we saw, athletics is much more than physical fitness and ability. It's a tool to developing our youth and future leaders, strengthening their self-confidence, spirituality, and the will to achieve and succeed both in and outside of the classroom. Sports also teaches community service and the power of positive thinking, which are central themes to this show. So thank you for watching The Spark. To learn more about each of the guests and interact with your stories of others leading by example, visit thesparktv.org. We look forward to seeing you next month, and we hope that you'll join with us in creating a spark for the Mid-South.
Just like having the right information is necessary to make solid hiring and lending decisions, being engaged in our community is important. DataFax is proud to support the positives and be a presenting sponsor of The Spark.
State Systems is focused on protecting life and property. As a local, privately owned company, our foundation was built on providing all businesses with complete fire and security protection and infrastructure cabling. State Systems is proud to be a part of the Mid-South community and a presenting sponsor of The Spark.
Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance has been serving the Mid-South since 1954. We've always focused on supporting our community and believed in promoting the positives, encouraging engagement, and leading by example. Lipscomb & Pitts is proud to be a presenting sponsor of The Spark.